Alrighty, guys, it is 3:30. It is Friday, December 19th, last Friday before Christmas. Can you believe I've been talking about this since June, July? I mean, now we are here. Next week is going to be Christmas week, then we have New Year's week. It all falls in the middle of the week. Talk about that on Monday. A couple of days, normal trading days next week, but yeah, end of the year is upon us. A few more days and we'll be in 26. So, this morning, we started off range bound, flat out range bound. We're looking to buy weakness, sell strength. I was not expecting this. It was an option expirations day. We had this personal link coming out this number that I had on my calendar was never came out. So not completely surprised since we didn't get any margin changes come out from the brokerage side. The existing home sales came out. That was kind of weak. The consumer sentiment came out and they kind of weak on that one as well. But that was it. That happened at 10 o'clock. But as you said, we were range bound, looking to sell strength against the 55s, the 65s, 70s, 80s, 90s, 6900, 6915s. So they kind of just took off. It wasn't really a whole lot of hesitation. It wasn't this roller coaster we had yesterday when it went back and forth three times from the top to the bottom of the range. Today was more of a they ran it up, installed, and did not take out resistance at least not yet. They are up here against these levels. I've been talking about the potential short trade against these levels for rotations down. At this point, it's just not happening. But the trade could still be there going into the last part of the day. And so either they're going to pop this going into the close, or we may get a little bit of retracement going back and pulling it back a little bit. Now, if they close below that 68, 70s, I would be starting off just range bound. Otherwise, I would probably keep a bias to the upside to get started. In other words, looking to buy against that 80s and the 70s for rotations back up again. So that's kind of the way I'm looking at the ES. Kind of surprising that they didn't get more back and forth, but they kind of just ran it up and then kind of stalled. And that was kind of the dynamic for the day. I did a couple of trades on the ES early on. And one was let me show you those. The first trade was early on here when they started heading higher. That was a small pullback. Got in, had a nice little pop going. Then they stopped me out, shook me out of that trade. They went to break even and then knocked me out. The next trade I took was a little bit later in the session here, and again that was they were slowly grinding higher. I got long here before the London close on that little pullback from the tablet. Got long. It started heading higher and knocked me out of that trade. Started heading higher. It's like, okay, great. So that could have been a nice little trade, by the way. But I was shaken out of both those trades. So I pretty much 875 on those two trades. On the NASDAQ, I had a few more trades. Same dynamic there though, on the NASDAQ when it comes to the dynamic for the day. They took it higher and then did not look back. NASDAQ, though, is not quite out of the woods yet. They're pretty much trading in this range right now. They had to clear these areas here, the 720s up to the 850s, before I really start thinking about the long side on the NASDAQ. So a lot more volatility going on that guy. But definitely a positive day, and they are up here against resistance. They didn't quite make it to the 620s, but they're stalling. And so far, I would just do the same thing on the NASDAQ, starting off with a slight bias to the upside, unless they close below that 460 edge right now. That's going to be your lower end of the range. So in the overnight, I would be looking to buy against that 500s and that 460s for rotations back up again. So that's the NASDAQ going into the overnight Sunday, Monday. But we'll see. I mean, if maybe we get a late Santa rally, maybe we do that. It would be pretty amazing. So those are so three trades on the NASDAQ up 17 there, two trades on the ES up 875, and then I took a bond trade. And as I keep saying, bond market is a different animal. You have to trade that very differently than you try to trade the ES and the Nasdaq. So I was waiting in that thing for quite a while. This whole slop in the morning, I didn't do anything on that one. It was a retest. This one here potentially could have been something, but it was in the middle of the range, wasn't quite at the lower end of the range, so I did not opt to do anything on that. That would have worked as a trade though. These other ones, these retests did not work. There's like pops, and the same story on the way down, didn't quite make it down to the low again. And then we had this rally running right up here to the 18th. So not quite at the level. So I waited third bar here. Okay, fine. is not going higher. So here you have it getting into that London close session, worth a shot. But click in an order here at the 18s. Got short. I had to fade one tick of heat. Only 20 contracts traded there, and I had to wait another 15 minutes before it if it started fading. And then I got about 3 ticks out of that trade, so $93 on that trade. And I opted to get out before they ran into support. So they have a reverse retest at the initial balance higher. But you can see how they have slowly grinded this one down to the midpoint too. That was so. I mean, if you have patience, you can probably sit in a trade like that for a little bit longer if you want. But I usually try to get out with a 3 or 4, maybe 5 ticks, because it's you never know when it bounces into something like that and it reverse back up here, retest it, pull it back up, retest the previous levels, which would then shake you out of your trade. So anyway, so one trade, but you can see how slow this kind of dynamic is. You had to wait for it. They really wait for the things to set up, and then you had to wait for your fill, and it's just slow motion type trading is really what it is. But if you have trade location and you can sit through it for a little bit, then you can get some few ticks out of it. And the best part with the bond trade is that yeah, it's slow and it's boring in that sense, but it's like $3 a round turn, 350 a round turn, and it's $31 a tick. So of 3 ticks, $93 you paid 350 for in commission. So it's cheap commission, good return, and it's fairly well defined, fairly well behaved. If you're not trying to be trading it like same as the ES aggressively, you won't get caught, at least not easily. So but anyway, so one trade on the bonds, up 3 ticks on that guy, and I kind of stopped there. They figured out no point of pushing it because as you got into the afternoon, you can see how they started getting sloppy. The whole thing tightens up on the ES and Nasdaq. Both of these guys start tightening up here, and it just becomes it's just a recipe. This whole thing here after the noon Eastern, this whole even into 2 o'clock hour was just slop. It's a recipe for getting yourself chopped up. Now, the way you would trade this, if you're going to trade it, when it slows down like this, is just fade the edges. So you're looking at fade the edges. You may have to fade a little bit of heat on them, but you fix the channel. You just fade the edges back and forth there, and that's the best you can do. But it is not something I would aggressively trade. Sometimes you get caught, you get stuck in this, you overtrade it, and it's just a recipe for getting chopped up. Nothing works. You try to hop on a long trade on the way up, it just shakes you out, reverses, goes back up a little bit more, reverses. It's just a meat grinder is what I call them. So did not trade any of that. I sat on my hands. I was up a little bit of authorized. I tempted for a bit, but it's like most of the action happened in the morning, and now everything is kind of slowing down. Everyone's heading out. It's probably going to be a fairly couple of light weeks here of trading as people take days off. Most likely the Friday next week is going to be pretty darn slow, even if it's a full trading day. But we have the Monday, Tuesday, and then Wednesday is going to be half day, Thursday is going to be closed, and Friday is going to be full day. So that's what the week looks like for next week. But anyway, we'll wrap it there for now, guys. So a couple of trades on the ES up 875, 17 on the Nasdaq. Not much to show for it. So and it was pretty sloppy in the morning. You had this grinding motion where it just knocked you out. So if you keep getting shaken out of trades, just kind of wait for it for the craziness to slow down before you start doing stuff. But anyway, so that's how you get started. Slight buys to the upside to get started in the overnight, Sunday, Monday, and then we'll take it from there. So we'll leave it there. Alrighty, guys. I'll see you back on Monday, and then we're going to be in Christmas week. Alrighty, guys. Later.